Well, hello, Adam. Thank you so much for joining me here on Pure 24/7 Radio. I'm with Adam from Plugged In. And can I say, before you tell us all the exciting things that are going on, can I say how I absolutely love Plugged In? In fact, I will say that it's very difficult to watch a film without checking in with Plugged In first. As soon as I found out about you, so as far as films are concerned, if there's no Plugged In review, I'm a bit struggling. I'm like, what do I do?
Right?
How do I cope? Should I really watch this film? But
No,
I'm so excited that you do more than just films, isn't it? It's
we do.
books, it's music, all kinds of things. So I do need to check all this stuff out.
Yeah, we do all of that. Movies are what we are probably best known for, but we do books, we do video games, we do YouTube channels, music. It's a broad range of things that we cover. And our hope is twofold that we will give those who come to our site the information you need to make the best decision you can and hopefully a wise one and a biblically discerning one. But I think at a deeper level, we hope that as people interact with us over time, you'll get a sense of how we try to use scripture and use our faith as a filter to help us think critically about what we're doing. And so it really is an expression of discipleship. And, we're living in a world where screens are everywhere these days, and it's never
Yeah.
been easier to get any kind of content you can possibly think of. And so, we can't always be there for our kids, but we want to also equip them to make good decisions too. So that's probably our deeper heartbeat, Joe.
Oh, that's fantastic. I tell you, the whole family just, we go through Plugged In, and it really does help us as a whole family. And I love the fact that you say whether there's violent content, whether there's what type of spiritual content, all
Yep.
kinds of bits that you need to know quite quickly. And so it's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And here in the US this week, I always have to remember, oh, yeah, you have different holidays. It's a holiday weekend for us. It's Memorial Day. So we stop and remember those who have served in the armed services. And traditionally, Memorial Day weekend in the United States has been sort of the kickoff of the big summer movie season. So we've got multiple fairly big movies this weekend, but I wanted to just touch on two of them that all may encompass a pretty broad range of families who may be interested in these films. The first one is Lilo and Stitch. Did your kids watch Lilo and Stitch at all when they were growing up?
No, not it's because I don't know whether is it more of a girly thing. I don't know. We just
Maybe. Yeah, I mean, I guess it probably would be. It's a Disney product, but they, as Disney has been doing, they have taken this animated show and movie and done a live action version of it. And the short version is there's a little girl named Lilo, and she has a big sister. Their parents have died because it's Disney, and we can't leave any parents alive in a Disney story for some reason. It's a very strange thing. Um, and they're trying to make it, and when you know it, this little alien being Stitch crashes. And Stitch, if you squint a little bit, he could almost pass for a bunny or a dog, but he has been genetically engineered to basically just wreak havoc on everything. And so he's constantly in trouble. And Lilo, actually, she kind of gets in trouble sometimes too. And this is their story, and really about this little girl trying to teach this troublesome little dog-like alien some manners. And slowly he comes around. And of course, there are aliens hunting them, and there's a social worker who's concerned about these two young girls' welfare. But it's a pretty nice story. And as you know, we like to let people know what you can expect in terms of content. There are actually a couple of mild profanities in this one, and that
oh,
was frustrating to me because I'm like, it's a kids movie. Why are they there at all? So it may not ruin it, but parents definitely will want to be aware of it. And it's a high energy story too. So it's kind of a roller coaster. But if you have Lilo and Stitch fans in your home, they will probably enjoy this live action version.
ah, good one. I must admit, I
Yeah.
have not seen those, but obviously I've seen posters and pictures. They're all over the shop. Clearly, something was
Yep.
was coming up.
Yes. And we don't always do multiple movies, but it's like kind of a big weekend. So we have Mission Impossible, The
Woo!
Final Reckoning. And so if you've been thinking, oh, I haven't seen Tom Cruise running for a while, or I haven't seen Tom Cruise doing insane stunts for a while, it could be a really good weekend for you. So this time he is up against an AI supercomputer that wants to take over the world and up against those who want to get their hands on the AI supercomputer and, take it over for their own
Mm.
nefarious purposes. So he's fighting sort of a multi-front war here. He does his running thing. For a guy who's as old as he still runs pretty well.
Yes.
And
It's not fair,
he
is it?
it's not fair at all. I watch him. I'm like, man, my knees hurt just watching you, brother.
Yeah.
Um, but I think the crazy thing, Joe, for me is that he's been making these movies since 1996. And if we do the math, that's 29 years. This is his
I
eighth
know.
one.
That's a
Uh,
good year because Andy and I got married in 1996. So,
okay. Well, there you go. That is a good
that's a good
year.
year.
I don't think I had anything super meaningful happen in 96. Um, these movies, like so often in the summer, we get to this time and we get all of these sequels and we get reboots and we get franchises. The good thing about it, even if it seems like Hollywood is intellectually bankrupt sometime, there aren't any new ideas, is we have a pretty good idea what to expect. And so this is one with a fair bit of violence. I have appreciated that for PG-13 in the US rating anyway, they keep the content in these movies down a little bit lower than some PG-13 movies. So
Mhm.
it's more about the action and the intensity. There's not a huge amount of profanity, and I appreciate that. And of course, there's people getting shot and blown up and everything else. So you are going to have to reckon with that. But those are the two really big movies this weekend. Do you know, are they releasing over there in England as
You,
well?
you know, I can never really stay on top of all of that. I'm never quite sure. And we tend to just wait for it to come on DVD anyway.
Yeah.
And I've only watched the last Mission Impossible once because it's just so fast paced. I have to
Yeah.
be in the right mood to go, right, can I cope with all this energy and action?
Yep.
So I'm sure the next one's the same.
Yeah, exactly. And it's exactly. I mean, they all sort of end up feeling quite similar. Um, we also have a blog at Plugged In, and the blog is sort of our space to talk about things that are not review oriented per se, but maybe having to do with technology, culture, trends, and how they're affecting our kids. And last week, one of our staff members, Emily Chow, wrote a blog, which I thought was terrific. It's called Mom, I Think I Have ADHD. I learned about it on TikTok. And so we really dive into the notion that kids these days are, they're getting on social media. They're not only just watching funny videos and, all of those sorts of things, but they are also using things like TikTok to self-diagnose. And I think that's important for us to be aware of because there are all sorts of reasons why maybe that isn't a great thing, right?
Mm,
Now, if they find somebody authoritative, it could be that they get something really helpful. I don't want to
yeah.
say that it's all necessarily bad or wrong, but as we've seen with social media, there's also that power of suggestion, right?
Mm,
And if you have a child that has some mental health problem or just a health problem and just a tiny hint of a symptom, they can get on, and this can be kind of an amplifier,
mm,
right? That amplifies their anxiety. And so we need to be engaged with them and knowing what they're looking at, but also helping them to think critically about the credibility of those sources, right?
mm.
Is this a credible voice? Is this somebody that we should be entrusting to speak into something as serious as mental health? Um, and then, if it turns out that they are a credible voice, then it's a stepping stone to getting some more help, right? It's
Mm.
like, okay, maybe this is an issue. And maybe this TikToker is on to something. I'm loath to give TikTokers too much credit, but Theoretically, it would be possible. And so I love that Emily has unpacked this in her
Mm.
article, just this trend of, um, this intersection of mental health and social media and how kids are interacting with that content.
That is so helpful, isn't it? I mean, I'll be honest. I sort of avoid TikTok, but I mean, if
Yeah.
our young people are on these things, we do need to be aware. So that's I'm very grateful for something like that. That's very
Yep.
helpful.
Yeah. And Joe, do we have time for one more or where are we at
One
time
more,
wise?
Adam. Go on then.
Okay. So, in the category of things that refuse to die, we have Doom: The Dark Ages, which is a video game. And
Okay.
gamers of a certain tender age will remember the first Doom game came out in 1993. And it basically was about a portal to hell and demons coming through
Mm.
it, and you have to shoot them. And lo, these many years later, not very much has changed. This one is set in the Dark Ages. That's kind of the twist here. So instead of modern weapons, they've got more medieval weapons and they've got armor and that sort of thing. But you still got a portal. You still got, the minions of Hades scurrying up and you have to kill them all. And these sorts of games, especially with adolescent boys, are incredibly popular because it's all about just slaughtering everything that comes at you. But there's a fair bit of research that shows, especially with younger players, when you play these kind of games too much, it kind of blunts your empathy and it can really make it more difficult for you to connect with somebody else emotionally. And it might make you more aggressive, which it makes sense, right? This sort of feels like common sense. If I'm playing a game about slaughtering demons, what might the corollary be? Because most of us aren't doing that in the real world, right? um, but I know with my son, when he went through a phase with Fortnite, I could see some of these things in the way that he treated his sisters. I'm like, bud, I
Mm.
think I'm seeing more aggression from you, and I'm seeing a shortness of temper from you. And so I think if you've got kids that are playing games like Doom, Dark Ages, or others like it, just be paying attention to how that is
Mm.
affecting their behavior, because I think that's the real takeaway here. And sometimes we need to really change those boundaries and say, you know what, we need to set time limits, or maybe we just need to say that is not a game that we're going to play in our family.
Can I ask what's the age on that one? Is there like an age restriction?
That is an M-rated game, which is M for mature. So this is one that definitely is aimed at an older audience.
Okay.
So you're going to have a lot of violence. You may have some profanity, that sort of thing.
Wow.
So, and that's just the other thing is that people may not realize video games today, just like we have movies with restricted ratings because of content, we have video games that have all that content
Oh
too.
yeah,
And
of
so
course.
we've got to be alert to that as parents.
Wow, that's really, really helpful. Thank you, Adam. You chosen
You
another
bet.
key date, because 1993 is when I became a Christian. So it's like, this is
Oh,
really cool. These dates are
I
cool.
sort of feel like I'm filling up my bingo card with Joe's important years.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's really interesting because I was having my own battle with the enemy in 1993. So it kind of works.
Okay.
I'm not into those games. I know some people are, but it's
Yeah.
really, really useful hearing what you're saying and some great advice there for people who play the games as well as
Yeah.
family members or parents who might be interested to know what's the best way forward and making those informed decisions. Thank you
Exactly.
so much, Adam. It's been absolutely brilliant. I want to come back again. I'll see if I can try and time it
Yeah.
so I can come
You
back. But
can
I
bump
think
Andy out of the chair again
yes,
and
I
give it
do.
another go.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Andy should be back doing this again next time. But thank you so much,
Okay.
Adam, and you
You
take care of
bet.
yourself. Take care.
You
Bye.
have a good day, Joe.
Cheers.